light of the Los Angeles wildfires, we're just going to do a final take on what Demolition Man might be telling us about Los Angeles turning into San Angeles.
Don't you think?
I try not to.
That's right, don't think. So we've already seen and talked about the tablets, the video calling, the electric cars, the censorship and the foolish police. What we didn't mention was that the censorship tickets work based on an economy that's obviously linked to biochips that are inserted into everyone, which also allowed and restricted access to places, and gave the police a way to track down where everyone was at any given time.
What do you think you're scratching, caveman? You really think we'd let you go without control?
Is that what's in store for the rebuild of Los Angeles?
Why don't you just shove a leash up my ass?
So all in all, really, what it appears to be describing or setting the scene for or projecting is a smart city with smart technology. This is what they projected Santa Monica Boulevard to look like.
Upcoming Santa Monica Boulevard.
So there you have it, San Angeles, the smart city, projected for you in 1993. And let's not forget all the chaos was caused and funded by the authorities.
Today's video explores the convergence of big tech, biotech, and government influence, particularly regarding surveillance, longevity research, and brain-machine interfaces. The conversation begins with a mention of potential Neuralink mandates and humorously suggests a future where brain implants could be used for crime prevention. It then transitions into an analysis of Jim O'Neill's affiliations with Peter Thiel and his involvement in the CEN Research Foundation, which focuses on longevity-related treatments. The speakers highlight the Silicon Valley elite's obsession with life extension, citing figures like Brian Johnson and Thiel, who are invested in controversial practices such as injecting young blood to extend life. They argue that these efforts are part of a broader trend where big tech positions itself at the forefront of health-related innovations, often using biotech advancements like mRNA and DNA-based therapies.
I also think it's worth pointing out, too, that before we kind of wrap up the discussion on O'Neill here, you know, a lot of his affiliation with Thiel, it's very extensive. We noted in the piece, but also, you know, for a lot of his O'Neill's, you know, after he was out of government and also no longer working for a Thiel affiliated VC, he was working for the CEN Research Foundation, which is devoted to like treating longevity related or like age related diseases. It's basically, I would argue, one of those sort of Silicon Valley health, quote unquote, foundations that aims to offer life extension technologies. And, you know, a lot of big tech bros are kind of obsessed with this idea of immortality. Probably the most infamous of those is Brian Johnson. And he, along with Peter Thiel, have a significant interest in injecting young people's blood into themselves to stay young, for example. It's true. They've been going into biotech, and a lot of that is through joint ventures with big tech companies like Google, for example. And, you know, a lot of those companies also now double as major and essential parts of the national security state and national security state contractors and integral parts of the national security, you know, mass surveillance apparatus. And so the idea of having a lot of this, you know, this idea of selling biosurveillance and all of this is a way to improve, you know, market response to healthcare products and all of this stuff, I would argue is really kind of a sly way to manufacture what I think is pretty openly acknowledged as the final frontier of mass surveillance, which is surveilling people's bodies through wearables and eventually through things inside the body, nanomedicines. And of course, I would put brain computer interfaces, BCIs like Neuralink in that category. And I think it's important to remember too, with brain machine interfaces or BCIs, that it ultimately comes to the FDA to approve them. FDA tends to grant them breakthrough device status, which sort of waives some of the quote unquote regulatory red tape for these things. But we have, you know, Elon Musk having a very prominent role in the government right now. He doesn't have to divest from any of his companies at all in that role.